So here, from my portion, the first one is critical reasoning text. Critical reasoning text. That is passage. Critical reasoning text. Isn't it? So from this, you have two questions. Each has 2 marks, 4 marks. 4 marks for passage. 2 questions, each has 2 marks. And 2 passages will be there. Sometimes only 1 passage is given and 2 questions. Sometimes 2 separate passages and one question that is below the passage. Okay. So in order to understand any critical reasoning text, one must have interpretative ability. Interpretative ability. Interpretative ability. If you have interpretative ability, then you can easily understand a critical reasoning text. Now, what does this ability, what kind of help you get from this ability? What does it do? Interpretative ability. So when you read any text, if certain point is right, why it is right? If certain point is wrong, why it is wrong? If certain statement is logically correct, how it is correct and why it is correct, on the basis of what it is correct. If certain statement is logically wrong, then how it is wrong, why it is wrong, isn't it? So it is this ability which helps you to know about it, isn't it? And every critical reasoning text has 4 parts. Every critical reasoning text has 4 parts. Yes. So let me write from here 4 parts. 4 parts in a critical reasoning text. 4 parts are there. 4 parts. So here, first one is conclusion. Conclusion, it is also called main idea. Conclusion or main idea. Second part is premise. Second part is premise. Third part is
English class में बस చేస్తుంది తిమనేది.
Third part is assumption. And then here fourth part. First one conclusion, second one premise, and third one assumption. And the fourth part is that is conclusion, premise, and then here assumption. And the fourth part you have, so let me see. Yes, fourth part, supporting information. Supporting information. Fourth part is supporting information. See, that is every critical reasoning text. Whatever text you are given in exam, so each text has these 4 parts. Isn't it? So if you are able to understand these 4 parts, then you can easily have the comprehensive understanding of the text. You will have complete understanding of the text. You have to find out these parts in the text. And if you are able to do this, then you will have complete understanding of the text. Text पूरे बुझिन्छ on the basis of this. Then what are these parts and how to find out? That is most important. So here, conclusion or main idea. So the conclusion of any text is given either at the start or at the end. At the end. Right. So conclusion or main idea of the text is given either at the start or at the end. कि त चाहिँ सुरुमा दिइहाल्छ कि त लास्टमा दिइहाल्छ. Either at the start or at the end. And sometimes in the middle. Sometimes in the middle. कहिलेकाहीँ मिडलमा पनि हुन्छ. Sometimes in the middle. Is it clear? So wherever it is given, the conclusion or main idea begins with some conjunctions. So it begins with some conjunctions like you write down so. and so. Therefore, isn't it? Since, consequently, etc. These are the connectives. So and so, therefore, since, consequently, etc. As a result of, isn't it? So conclusion or main idea begins with these connectives. Wherever you see these connectives, there the conclusion lies. There the main idea lies. Take from a main idea to take from a conclusion. Isn't it? So right? So conclusion or main idea, this is explicit. This is explicit. Explicit in the text. Explicit means clearly seen. Clearly seen. Conclusion or main idea is clearly seen. So when it is clearly seen, if the statement begins with so, if the statement begins with and so, if it begins with therefore, or since or consequently, then it is explicit, but it can be implicit also. You implicit pani huncha. How it is implicit? Sometimes what happens? Only the details are given, right? The details are given. And now, what do all the details indicate? You सारा detail लेके पूरा line indicate करता. And whatever the all the details indicate, on whatever point all the details focus, June point like focus darsha, that point becomes conclusion. So in this case, it is implicit as well. यसको नेचर चाहिए त implicit पनि छ. Implicit. It is explicit also, implicit also. Implicit means not clearly seen. Explicit means clearly seen. It is clearly seen if there are these connectives. It is implicit, it is not clearly seen if there are only the details given. Detail diya huncha ta. And now what do all the details indicate? यो सारा detail के कुरोलाई focus गर्छ. What do all the details emphasize? What do all the details that is put emphasis on? Get it? So that becomes the conclusion. Very simple example. Suppose you are listening to somebody's speech. कसैको भाषण सुनिरहेछ. That may be political speech, any other kind of speech. Religious speech, you are listening to the speech. Now, what does the speech focus on? You सारा speech लेके focus गरिरहेछ. So whatever you get, that becomes the conclusion of the speech, and that becomes the main idea of the speech. Isn't it? So this is what we find here. This is conclusion. Now, so premise. Premise is an evidence. An evidence. Premise is an evidence or proof. Proof. So premise is an evidence or proof on which the conclusion is based. The conclusion or main idea of the text is based on some evidence. Some evidences are there. Some proofs are there. On those proofs, on those evidences, conclusion is grounded. Conclusion is based. So premise is an evidence or proof or fact, you can say. Fact. It is an evidence, it is a fact on which the conclusion is based. Okay? And then you look at supporting information. So here premise is explicit. You clearly see. It is never implicit. Premise is never implicit. Right? Conclusion or main idea is based on some facts. Conclusion or main idea is based on some evidences, some proofs. So those facts, those proofs, those evidences are premises. Is it clear? Now you come to supporting information. Then I will tell you about assumption. Supporting information gives supporting information is an explanation to premise. Oh yeah. Just a minute. So this very premise supports conclusion. Your premise le conclusion I support garcha ki garदैन. It supports conclusion. Why it supports conclusion? Because the conclusion or main idea is based on premise. The conclusion or main idea comes from premise. So that's why premise supports them. Okay. Now here supporting information. Supporting information gives enough details. Yeah. supporting information gives enough details to premise. Yele ke geja that gives enough details to premise. It gives enough details to premise. Yele ke geja it gives enough details to premise. It means it explains premise. It explains premise. It clarifies premise. यानी premise lie object clear lie. It means it clarifies facts. It clarifies facts. It explains facts. So it is the explanation of premise. So what you can say, supporting information supports premise. Supporting information supports premise. यानी premise lie support lie. Is this much clear to you? Yati clear, sir? Very simple. Conclusion comes from some facts. That fact is the premise. And supporting information is the explanation of premise. यही fact like explain गर्छ जो supporting information. Supporting information explains the fact. Explanation of the fact, elaboration of the fact. Okay. Now assumption. This very assumption lies in conclusion. This very assumption lies in conclusion. And assumption also gives evidence, but it lies in the conclusion. Actually, in the conclusion, we find a gap. There is gap, and in that gap, assumption logically fits. It is not there in the text. Assumption is always hidden, and remember, it always lies in the conclusion. You can't hidden. It is hidden in the conclusion, right? So, in a conclusion, we find a gap, and in that gap, assumption logically fits. Assumption logically fits. So, it is hidden. It is an implicit. Assumption is implicit. It is implicit. You not clearly seen, but it supports conclusion. Assumption supports conclusion. Assumption le conclusion like support. So you can say it is extra evidence. It is extra evidence. It is extra fact which lies in the conclusion, and that is hidden. That is not seen. But now I give you a very simple text, and in that very text, you try to find out all these parts. Very simple text. Only 3 sentences are there. In that text, only 3 sentences. Okay? You try to find out these 4 parts. Isn't it? You will enjoy the text. The text is very simple. So let me share the screen. Yes, you tell me that is which one is conclusion in the text, which one premise, which one assumption, which one supporting information. You tell me.
सर त्यो लास्ट लाइन चाहिँ त्यो सिइओले चाहिँ प्लान इनिसिएट गर्यो भने चाहिँ मलाई कन्क्लुजन जस्तो लाग्यो
Exactly. Very good. The last sentence is conclusion.
त्यो फर्स्ट लाइन चाहिँ सर त्यो चाहिँ मलाई कता कता सपोर्टिभ इन्फर्मेसन हो कि जस्तो लाग्यो है
First line
सपोर्टिङ इन्फर्मेसन जस्तो लाग्यो अनि सेकेन्ड लाइन चाहिँ प्रेमिस हो कि जस्तो लाग्यो सर
अब यहाँ हेर्नु त यहीँनिर चाहिँ त्यो त फेल खायो अब यही हो कुरा ल A CEO, let me tell you, a CEO of a major company observed a serious decline in worker productivity during the previous 5 years. So the CEO found a serious decline. That is, the CEO saw a serious decline in worker productivity. There was serious decline in worker productivity during the previous 5 years. Okay. And in another sentence, what do we see? According to a report done by an outside consultant, productivity dropped by 35% by the end of that period. It means by the end of 5 years, by the end of that period means by the end of 5 years, productivity dropped by 35%. Over. Just a serious decline in worker productivity. You mark it. Here you have a serious decline in worker productivity, isn't it? And here what you have? Productivity dropped by 35%, isn't it? 35% by the end of that period. So now, so if you say this is premise, then, and this is supporting information, serious decline in worker productivity, that does it explain this one or this one explains this one? कुन लेकेलाई explain गरिरहेछ दाइहरु त? The first one explains the second one, or the second one explains the first one?
First one explains the second one.
First one explains the second one. In the first one, what we have?
The second one explains the first one.
Exactly, yes. That is what I mean. Productivity dropped by 35%. Here the data given. And what do the data do? The data explain. Data explain. So this is the data. Productivity dropped by 35% by the end of that period. So this explains the first one. So the first one is premise, and the second one is supporting information. Did you understand? Is it clear? Huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Now you come to assumption. Assumption, what I have told you, that is, assumption gives extra evidence, and that evidence lies in the conclusion. To evidence kaha huncha ta conclusion ma huncha. In the conclusion there is a gap. There is a gap in the argument. In conclusion we find a gap in the argument. Argument ma ke huncha, gap huncha. So you see, the CEO had therefore initiated a plan to boost productivity by giving employees shares of the company as part of their pay package. Now tell me, this conclusion talks about how many ideas? One idea, two ideas, three ideas, four ideas. So this conclusion talks about how many ideas? What idea?
It's the first plan to boost the productivity.
Yes, okay. Let me note it. Plan to boost productivity. Let me write here. Just a minute. So here you have. So one idea is plan to boost productivity. Plan to boost productivity. One idea. Okay. Another idea.
And another is the giving shares to the employees.
Yes, giving shares. Another idea is giving shares. Giving shares to the employees. So these are the ideas. Only two ideas. Is there the third idea?
No.
No, only two ideas. Isn't it? Now look at the board. Just a minute. Stops here. Look at the board. So here, plan to boost productivity, giving shares to the employees. So out of these two ideas, which comes first? This comes first or this comes first? Logically. This comes first or this comes first?
The second one comes first.
Second one comes first.
So this is number one, isn't it? And this is number two. This is number one and this is number two. I mean, giving shares to the employees. For this I write shares. And here, that is, it means high productivity. High productivity. It means shares lead to high productivity. It means what? Shares lead to high productivity. One idea shares, another idea high productivity. It means giving shares to the employees leads to high productivity. Our employee lies share didaima productivity high huncha. Do you see any gap between these two ideas? Or you कसरी possible छ? Share दियो high productivity भयो कसरी भयो?
Yes, assumption जस्तो भएछ.
And think here Here, giving shares to the employees leads to high productivity. Employees like share दिएपछि productivity high हुन्छ. How it is possible? How it is possible?
यसमा हामीले आफ्नो आइडिया पनि दिन पर्ने हो
हैन, how it is possible? Share दिदैमा productivity high हुन्छ. यो कसरी?
यो एन्सर टेक्स्टको रेफरेन्समा दिन पर्ने कि हामीले पनि एजम्पसन क्या क्रिएट गर्नुपर्ने यो ग्याप फिल अप गर्नलाई
Oh, so here we see the gap. See, and in this gap, what comes? Our share हामी दियौं, isn't it? Shares were provided to the employees. When they get shares, what happens? They get motivated. हुन्छ कि हुँदैन? Share पाएपछि motivated हुन्छ. They get motivated, isn't it? So belongingness will increase. They get motivated and work a lot. उनीहरु के हुन्छ? Motivated हुन्छ and work a lot. काम चाहिँ के त गर्छ धेरै. Only then there will be high productivity. Any productivity बढ्ने हो. When they get shares, they get motivated and work a lot. They get motivated. Then high productivity. They get motivated and work a lot. So after getting shares, number one, isn't it? This is number one. And then second point is they get motivated. Then this is the third point. अब हाम्रो चाहिँ के त कन्क्लुजनमा के छ मेन आइडियामा यो दुईटा पोइन्ट मात्रै दिएको छ. The between one, this is 1 point, point number 1, and this is point number 3. Between 1 and 3, what comes? They get motivated and work a lot. Isn't it? They get shares. Number 1, they get motivated and work a lot. Productivity is high. Isn't it? Now, the argument is logically completed. Our argument logically completed. So what is assumption? They get motivated and work a lot. That is the CEO had a very good knowledge of this assumption. CEO like Tathathiyo. CEO had a very good knowledge of this assumption. In here like share diyeपछि they get motivated and work a lot and productivity will be high. So that's why keeping this assumption in mind, the CEO initiated a plan to boost productivity by giving shares. Isn't it? So this is assumption. Our assumption ko next example, let me give you next example of assumption. So all of you joined PEA. सबैले PEA join गर्यो. Why? Because there are other institutes also, isn't it? Which run ME, MSc entrance classes or Upanita institutes of Kathmandu. They also run these classes. And why you joined only PEA? So you have some assumption. Assumption to stop. Keeping that assumption in mind, you joined PEA. What's the assumption? Now tell me.
त्यो ब्याचलरमा नै हामीले राम्रोसँग पढाएको थियो त्यही भएर एउटा राम्रो ट्रस्ट छ कि सर.
ब्याचलर पनि त्यही पढेको थियो हैन, तर त्यही पढेको थियो त्यसैले जोइन गर्यो. त्यो त एक्जामसन भएन.
त्यही पढेको राम्रोसँग पढाइ भएको थियो त्यहाँनिर.
राम्रोसँग पढाइ भएको थियो. यानी so that is that there are quality teachers. They provide quality education. And due to that, it becomes easy to pass the entrance. Keeping this assumption in mind, you join PEA. Right? यहाँ पढेपछि नाम निस्किन्छ.
Yes sir, sense sir.
So teachers are qualitative. They provide quality education. अनि त्यसपछि त्यहाँ नाम निकाल्न सजिलो. यही assumption छैन. हो. In the same way, the CEO had a very good knowledge of this assumption. CEO ले त थाहा थियो. The CEO better knew. Yes, if shares are provided, they get motivated and work a lot. Then productivity will be high. So that's why the CEO initiated the plan to boost productivity by giving shares to the employees. Is it clear? Is this clear to you?
Sir.
Yes? The teacher, any confusion? यो कुन idea भयो? First idea CS. Second idea this one, then this is the third idea. So here in the conclusion only these two ideas given, and between these two ideas there is a gap, and in that gap this logical, you can logically under, they get shares, then they get motivated and work a lot, then productivity is high. You can logically also. Is it clear? So this is assumption. This is extra evidence. This is extra evidence which makes the conclusion complete. The conclusion is complete. Now, is this much clear to you?
Sir.
Oh. Now you come to the types of questions. You come to the types of questions. Types of questions. So here, number one, you copy this. Weaken the argument. Strengthen the argument. Supply the conclusion. Supply the assumption. So whatever questions you are asked in critical reasoning text, these questions are related to weaken the argument, strengthen the argument, supply the conclusion, supply the assumption. We will discuss each one by one, and you have to practice as well. First, you copy it. These are 4 types of questions. Your questions are related to these. And how to deal with each type of question, that is important to know. Now I am rubbing 2, 3, 4. Yes? So now what is the nature of weakened argument? If your question is related to this weakened argument, then your question will be like this. Below the text, you have this type of question. Which of the following, if true, weakens the argument? Which of the following, if true, weakens the argument or doesn't support the argument? Doesn't support the argument, or damages the argument, or doesn't favor the argument. Doesn't favor the argument. This is the way, or is against the argument. Is against the argument. So your question will be like this. Which of the following, if true, weakens the argument, doesn't support the argument, damages the argument, doesn't favor the argument, is against the argument. Yeah. So in the question, which word is given? Argument. Over here. Argument means what? Conclusion. Argument means conclusion. Argument means main idea. Argument means conclusion. Argument means main idea. So when you read the text, whatever text you are given, you have to read the text thoroughly, and then from the text you have to find out conclusion. Argument you have to find out. You have to find out the main idea. Isn't it? And then below the text you will have this question. So whatever conclusion you find after reading the text, whatever main idea you find after reading the text, whatever options are given below this question, which option doesn't support your conclusion? doesn't support the conclusion of the text. But suppose you have a text, isn't it? And the main conclusion of the text is students should follow, therefore students should follow these rules. Suppose this is the conclusion of the text that you have read. Students should follow these rules. Then your question is this. From the options, you have to select such an option which says that students should not follow these rules. So, kun option le bhancha students should not follow these rules. Here, you have to find out antonymous expression. Argument, conclusion, what is the conclusion? Students should follow these rules. Then from the options for this question, from the option you have to select such an option, which says that students should not follow these rules. And if the argument is students should not follow these rules, suppose this is the conclusion, then from the options you have to select such an option which says that students should follow these rules. Is it clear? Antonymous expression. दिन को हैन, गुड को बैड, डे को नाइट हामी भन्छौँ नि एन्टोनी. यसले गुड को बैड, गुड छ भने बैड कुन छ त्यो खोज्नु, बैड छ भने गुड के छ त्यो खोज्नु. सिम्पल. Is it clear? Huh? Now I give you a text. Is this clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Huh? Is this clear? No. Okay. Well, look at the text. Now I have the text like. No. You read this text. Okay? This is the way you have question in exam. Just this also. You are given a text, then you have question, then options. Do it and tell me the correct option. First you find out the main idea. Argument. Priyanka, do you hear me? Sagar. Sagar, which option?
Option B, sir.
Option B. The Mamta, which option?
B.
B. Very clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now I am very happy. पढ़ाई को कुरो काम लाग्यो, है ना? ठीक छ. All of you have understood. Does anybody have confusion? Should I explain it? Tell me.
Sir, I explain garden actually.
Okay, very good. Here, Selva Industries manufactures and sells the same gadgets as Jones Industries. Try to understand this sentence. So there are two industries. One is Selva Industries, another Jones Industries. And both the industries have the same product. Isn't it? Manufacture same. They have the same product. And they also sell the same product. This is the meaning of the first sentence. Another, employee wages account for 40% of the cost of manufacturing gauge at both Selva Industries and Jones Industries. Another point is, both the industries have the same payment to the employees. It means employees get the same payment, same amount from at both industries. Same amount, payment same. Payment to the employees is the same at both the industries. Now next, Selva Industries is seeking a competitive advantage over Jones Industries. Now the important point is, Selva Industries wants to have more profit than Jones Industries. Selva Industries wants to have more profit than Jones Industries. Now, the conclusion is, therefore, to promote this end, it means to meet this purpose. What is the purpose of Selva Industries? To have more profit than Jones Industries. In order to meet this purpose, the conclusion is Selva Industries should lower employee wages. Selva Industries lay employee wage like कम गर्नुपर्छ. So this is the conclusion, this is the main idea, this is the argument. Now, which of the following, if true, would most weaken the argument? Now, which of these options does not support this point? Which option is against this point? Which option says that in order to meet this objective, Selva Industries should not lower employee wage. In order to meet this purpose, Selva Industries should not lower employee wage. Which option says so? This you have to select. Isn't it? Exactly B. What is the logic given? Lowering wages would reduce the quality of employee work. It means if wages is lowered, isn't it? If lowering wages would reduce the quality of employee work. If employees get low payment, then there won't be qualitative work. And this reduced quality would lead to lower sales. Then there won't be good product. And then the sales will be automatically low. Isn't it? So in this case, so this indicates that in order to meet this objective, Selva Industries should not lower employee wage. So this point weakens the conclusion. It doesn't support the conclusion. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. So now, number 2. You read second text. Read the second one. Text and question given, and then I show you the options. So very simple. If the main idea is this is good, then
Sir,
we have to
option
select
देखिए.
this is not good. If the main idea is this is not good, we have to select this is good.
एकचोटि अप्सन हेर्न पाए हुन्थ्यो सर.
Yeah, good. I want to know, does anybody select B or C? B र C कसैले select गरिरहेछ? Has anybody selected B or C? No one. Text यहाँ छ. D पनि हुन सक्छ. Let me explain. Yes. Here in the arid land along the Colorado River, arid means dry land. In the arid land along the Colorado River, along the Colorado River there is dry land. In that land, use of the river's water supply is strictly controlled. It means there is not enough water supply. There is not enough water supply in the arid land along the Colorado River. Farms along the river each have a limited allocation. They are allowed to use for irrigation. So on both sides of the Colorado River, right? On both sides of the Colorado River, there is limited allocation of water for irrigation. It means not enough water supply, right? But the trees that grow in narrow strips along the river's banks also use its water. Now the point is, along the bank of the Colorado River, there are trees. Those trees also use the water from the river. Isn't it? Clearly. Therefore, if farmers were to remove those trees, it means if those trees were removed, then what would happen? More water would be available for crop irrigation. Then for irrigation, there would be enough supply of water. If the trees were removed, then there would be enough supply of water for crop irrigation. Isn't it? This is the main idea, because they are both one. This is the argument. But now your question is concerning weekend argument. From the given option, which option says that for crop irrigation, isn't it? Trees should not be removed from the bank of the Colorado River. For crop irrigation, trees should not be removed from the bank of the Colorado River. So here the main idea, the argument focuses on the removal of the trees. Removal of the tree for what? For crop irrigation. Removal of the trees for crop irrigation. The main idea focuses on this point. Now, which option says that for crop irrigation, trees should not be removed from the banks of the Colorado? Did you understand? यसको त एन्टोनिमस खोज्नु पर्यो नि त, because your question is concerning weekend argument. Which option doesn't support it? Which option is against it? यसको against के हुन्छ? Before you looking at the option, what is its antonymous expression? What can be its antonymous expression? Its antonymous expression can be for crop irrigation, trees should not be removed. For crop irrigation, trees should not be removed. यो कुनमा दिएको छ ल हेर. For crop irrigation, water is needed. For crop irrigation, trees should not be removed. यो कुरो गरिरहेको छ. Which option is talking about this? Now, so you say deep पनि हुन सक्छ. Now see, the strip of land, that is a piece of land where trees grow along the river's banks, would not be suitable for growing crops if the trees were removed. The strip of land where trees grow along the river's banks would not be suitable. The very land would not be suitable for growing crops if the trees were removed. What does it say? That is, trees should not be removed. Trees should not be removed, because if the trees were removed, the land would not be suitable for growing crops. Does it talk about crop irrigation? You have to link the removal of trees with crop irrigation. You have to link the removal of trees with crop irrigation. Does it say so? It says that trees should be removed. If the trees were removed, it means trees should not be removed. The trees should not be removed, because if the trees were removed, the land would not be suitable for growing crops. It doesn't talk about the irrigation. It hasn't linked with irrigation. Irrigation सँग the link गरेको छैन. But that is our conclusion is for crop irrigation, trees should not be removed. For crop irrigation, trees should not be removed. This is the main idea. यसको अगेन्स्ट मा के हुन्छ? For crop irrigation, trees should be removed. So which option says that for crop irrigation, trees should be removed? मैंने उल्टो भने कि क्या हो? If farmers were to remove those, more water would be available for crop irrigation. If those trees were removed, more water would be available for crop irrigation. It means it talks about the removal of the trees. Oh, ठीक है मेरे बने हो. So which option says that for crop irrigation, what trees should not be removed? Yes, मतलब logically दिया था. The trees along the river's banks shelter it from the sun and wind. So whatever trees are there along the river's bank, those trees give protection to the water from the sun and from wind, thereby greatly reducing the amount of water lost through evaporation. Isn't it? Those trees protect the water from the sun, from the wind, and due to the trees, water can't get evaporated. Due to the trees, water can't get evaporated. So more water would be preserved there. Trees should not be removed for crop irrigation, because those trees give protection to the water from the sun and wind. So that's why the trees should not be removed for crop irrigation. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, la.
सर
Haju.
हाम्रो माथि उसमा if farmers were to remove भनेर भनेको छ एउटा पोइन्ट है.
हो.
अनि यदि त्यसलाई पनि हामीले कन्टेक्स्टमा लिने हो भने if farmers were to farmerले रिमुभ गर्ने हो भने भनिसकेपछि अप्सन बी पनि त के हदसम्म करेक्ट देखियो नि हैन सर.
Option B पनि. Option B मा के छ? Owners of farm along the river will probably not undertake the expense of cutting down trees along the banks unless they are granted a greater allocation of water in return. Get it? Owners of farms along the river will probably not undertake the expense of cutting down trees. It means they will not cut down the trees. They will not cut down the trees unless they are granted. It means if they are not given greater allocation of water. If they are not given, unless it's negative, if they are not given greater allocation of water, they will not undertake the expense of cutting down the tree. It means if they are given greater allocation of water, they will cut down the trees. Isn't it? They will cut down the trees. It doesn't, if they are provided greater allocation of water, यहाँ त limited allocation of water बनिरहेछ. यो त supposition मात्रै हो. Supposition मात्रै हो. Logic not given here. It is just a supposition. It is just a supposition. But here it is the fact. Option A is the fact. It is the factual. It is just the supposition. The supposed variable.
सर सी किन
Clear?
भएन
हजुर
सर सी किन भएन
अब सीमा के छ? Many of the tree species currently found along the river's banks are specifically adapted to growing in place where tree roots remain constantly wet. That is, अब यहाँ हेरौँ, हामीलाई खोज्नु पर्ने कुन कुरो छ त्यो मात्रै हेरौँ. यहाँ हेरौँ. If farmers were to remove those trees, more water would be available for crop irrigation. यसको एन्टोनिमस के हुन्छ पहिला त्यो फाइन्ड आउट गरौँ. This main idea says that for more water for crop irrigation, trees should be removed. हैन? यसको मिनिङ के भयो? कि for more water for crop irrigation, trees should be removed. अब हामीलाई के खोज्नु पर्यो? कि for more water for crop irrigation, trees should not be removed. So for more water for crop irrigation, trees should not be removed. यो कुरो छ यसमा सुनमा. ठ्याक्क यो कुरो छ. For more water for crop irrigation, trees should not be removed. Does it talk about this? Does it talk about the removal of the trees?
सर इम्प्लाई
No, I mean, does it for more water for crop irrigation, trees should not be removed. हामीलाई यो कुरो चाहिए. For more water for crop irrigation, trees should not be removed. Is this point given in C? यो कुरा भनिरहेछ C ले. Okay, now you see this number 3 over here. Which one is the main idea here? You tell me this only. Which one is the main idea? पुरुषोत्तम ल राम
PG 1000 is one of the safest car available today.
Yes, PZ 1000 is one of the safest cars available today. त यसको एन्टोनिम के हुन्छ एन्टोनिमस भनेपछि नेगेटिभ के हुन्छ
PG 1000 is not one of the
Yes,
safest.
good. PZ 1000 is not one of the safest car. So which option says that PZ 1000 is not the safest car? कुन अप्सनले भन्छ PZ 1000 safest car हो?
Option C.
Option
C.
C. Yes, cars in the class to which the PZ 1000 belongs are more likely to be involved in accidents than are other types of cars. Isn't it? Yes, option C. This says that PZ 1000 is not the safest car. Finished. Any confusion in number 3?
No, sir.
No confusion. Shall we move to number 4? Shall we move to number 4?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Oh, number 4 you read. No. You यसरी लेख्ने कि सिलेक्ट 4 भयो 4B लेख्ने वा 4C त्यसरी लेख च्याटमा ओके ल Yasoria has selected C and you have selected B. Now let me tell you. See, the mayor plans to deactivate the city's fire alarm boxes. This is the plan of the mayor. What is the plan? That is, city's fire alarm boxes are to be deactivated. This is the plan. Why those fire alarm boxes are to be deactivated? The reason is most calls received from them are false alarms. So most calls from them are false alarms. So the mayor claims that, what is the claim of the mayor? The mayor claims that the alarm boxes are no longer necessary. Alarm boxes are not necessary. Why not necessary? Since most people now have access to either public or private telephones. So most of the people have access, have approach to private telephone, public telephone. Isn't it? That is, public telephones are available, private telephones are available to most people. But the city's commercial district, it means but अब जे जति भनेको छ त्यसमा लाग्यो but the city's commercial district, city's commercial area where there is the greatest risk of the commercial area, there is the highest risk of fire, has few residents. In the commercial district, commercial area, the city's commercial area has few residents. Few means no residents. In the commercial district, city's commercial area, there are no residents. Few residents means no residents. And few public telephones, it means no public telephones. So, some alarm boxes are still necessary. That's why some alarm boxes are still necessary. So where those alarm boxes are necessary? The alarm boxes are necessary in the city's commercial area. So this is the conclusion. In the city's commercial area, some alarm boxes are still necessary. And in the city's commercial area, some alarm boxes are still necessary. Why? Because there is the greatest risk of fire, and in that commercial area, there are no residents and there are no public telephones. That's why some alarm boxes are still necessary. Now, which option says that in the commercial district, alarm boxes are not necessary? In the city's commercial area, alarm boxes are not necessary. Which option says so? Kun option le bhancha? Option B ma hai, chaina?
B.
Commercial buildings have automatic fire alarm system. Commercial building कहाँ हुन्छ? Commercial area मा. In the commercial area, there are commercial buildings. The commercial buildings have automatic fire alarm systems that are linked directly to the fire department. Isn't it? They have automatic fire alarm systems, and they are directly linked directly to the fire department. Direct link हुन्छ. So alarm boxes are not necessary. Isn't it? अब C किन हुँदैन? So here what is given? The fire department gets less information from an alarm box than it does from a telephone call. Fire department gets less information from an alarm box. Less information from an alarm box than it does from a telephone call. Once a telephone call, but a body pumps alarm box, but a कम information pumps. That's why alarm boxes are not necessary. तो यहाँ तो है रहता. In the commercial area, there are no public telephone. Commercial area में तो telephone नहीं चाहिए. यहाँ भन्छ यसले body telephone, है ना? That is, it gets more information from telephone call. है ना? तो यो मिल्यो? हाँ? ईश्वरिया? No. Are you convinced?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Now, number 5. Number 5 is a very romantic text. Very, very romantic. You read and find out.
D sir, D.
Hazur,
Option D.
option D. Option D. People in unhappy marriages have been found to express hostility by adopting a different sleeping and waking cycle from that of their spouses.
Option A, sir.
Hazur,
Option A, sir.
option A. Option A. तो सबै आयो, D पनि आयो, B also, A also. अब हेरौँ त. Let me read. A study of marital relationships. A study. Study भनिदिया छ. A study means a research. So it is clear from the research. Whatever is given here, so it has been proved. Okay, it has been proved. The research stage. The research is like that. It is clear from the research. Given the a study of marital relationships in which one partner's sleeping and waking cycles differ from those of the other partner reveals that such couples share fewer activities with each other and have more violent arguments than do couples in a relationship in which both partners follow the same sleeping and waking patterns. Now, here it talks about two groups of marriage partners. Two groups of marriage partners. In one group, both the marriage partners have the same sleeping and waking pattern. They go to bed at the same time. They wake up at the same time. Another group of marriage in another group of marriage partners, they have different sleeping and waking pattern. They go to bed at different times. They wake up at different times. Now the things are very clear. Isn't it? They who go to bed at the same time and wake up at the same time, they really share many activities. Isn't it? Many activities. And they who have different sleeping and waking patterns, they share fewer activities. Isn't it? So that's why they have more violent arguments. उनीहरूको जति बेला पनि झगडा हुन्छ हैन फाइट पनि हुन्छ then they have more violent arguments. Who have more violent arguments? They who don't have the same sleeping and waking pattern. They have more violent arguments. Okay. Thus, now the conclusion. Thus, mismatched sleeping and waking cycle can seriously jeopardize a marriage. It means mismatched sleeping and waking cycle. It means if the sleeping and waking patterns are not the same, then marital relationship gets damaged. है ना? यति मात्रै हो न कि divorce पनि भइहाल्छ. If they don't have the same sleeping and waking patterns, then marital relationship is in danger. Isn't it? They get divorced. They even get divorced. यो कुरो दिएको छ हैन? Right? Now, so now from the options, what you have to find out? Your question is which one seriously against the argument. यहाँ भन्छन् कि that is if they don't have same sleeping and waking patterns, then their marital relationship is in danger. यसको अपोजिट के हुन्छ? Mismatch को अपोजिट के हुन्छ? Match. It means even those marriage partners who have the same sleeping and waking patterns, their marital relationship is also in danger. हैन? यसको अपोजिट त्यही हुन्छ. Right? Even those marriage partners who have same sleeping and waking pattern, their marital relationship is also in danger. यो कुरो कुन अप्सनमा दिएको छ?
सर
कुनमा दिया छ?
अप्सन ए सर.
Option A. Clear भयो अब सबैलाई? Married couples in which both spouses, husband and wife, follow the same sleeping and waking pattern, also occasionally have arguments that can jeopardize the couple's marriage. हैन? उनीहरूको पनि फाइट हुन्छ. यस्तो फाइट हुन्छ कि उनीहरूको पनि डिभोर्स भइहाल्छ. हैन? Marital relationship is in danger. Their marital relationship is also in danger. कुरो क्लियर? Huh? Any confusion?
हो सर.
Okay. Now, passage number 6. So B is the right option. Does anybody have confusion? B is the right option. Does anybody have confusion? Tell me. No, Suman, do you have any confusion? Indra? Pratiksha?
No, sir.
Okay, no confusion. The option B correct. Answer option B. Okay. Now you have next one. Strengthen the argument. If you have any question concerning strengthen the argument, look at this. If you have any question concerning strengthen the argument, then number 2 is strengthen the argument. If your question is related to this, then your question will be like this. Which of the following if true supports the argument or favors the argument, strengthens the argument, etc. Got it? So whatever main idea is given, same thing in which option you find. Same thing in which option you find. This you have to select. If the main idea is sell by industries should lower employee wage, suppose, then which option also says yes, sell by industries should lower employee wage. Is it clear? So this is what you have to find out. Yes. So here you look at the text. The IOE. Okay. Option B. Today more teachers are entering the profession with a higher educational level than in the past.
D, sir, D.
Option D. Option D. This one.
Yes, sir.
Option D. Okay. Yes. Others have also selected D.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
D. Good. Very good. D. Yes, D is the right option. Isn't it? The shortage of teachers is primarily caused by the fact that in recent years, teachers have not experienced any improvement in working conditions, no improvement in working conditions, and their salaries have not kept pace with salaries in other professions. In comparison to other professions, isn't it? So their salaries, you can say in comparison to other professions, their salaries have not maintained their pace. Okay, I mean their salaries are low. Take answer. Many teachers have cited low pay and lack of professional freedom as reasons for their leaving the profession. Yes, D. The over you to number 2, passage number 2.
50 to 6 degrees or 60 degrees, sir,
Arjun,
in the passage.
passage. Yeah, below the dam from 50 degrees to 6 degrees.
Yes, sir.
This one you select option A.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let others choose. Sagar A, Ravi A. Do you have any confusion? Okay, A is the right option. A is the right option. Does anybody have confusion? Tell me.
Can you please explain, sir?
Ajur,
Explain for me.
explain God. Now you see. Here what you have, 2 decades after the Emerald River Dam was built. None of the 8 fish species 2 decades after the Emerald River Dam was built, none of the 8 fish species native to the Emerald River was still reproducing adequately in the river below the dam. I mean, Emerald River Dam was built. So 2 decades after the Emerald River Dam was built. So after the dam was built, none of the 8 fish species native to the Emerald River was still reproducing adequately in the river below the dam. So below the dam, those fish species were not reproducing adequately below the dam. So what is the reason why they were not reproducing in the river below the dam? See, what is the reason? Since the dam reduced the annual range of water temperature in the river below the dam from 50 degrees to 6 degrees. Isn't it? Previously, before the dam was built, there was 50, what was the range of water temperature? 50 degrees. But after the dam was built, near the dam, not away from the dam, near the dam, isn't it? That is, the temperature was reduced. Water temperature was reduced. Reduced from 50 degrees to 6 degrees. Near the dam, not away from the dam. Away from the dam, water temperature was the same. But near the dam, water temperature was reduced to 6 degrees. Okay. The scientists have hypothesized. So that's why the scientists have made hypothesis. So what is the hypothesis the scientists have made? That sharply rising water temperature must be involved in signaling the native species to begin the reproductive cycle. It means for the native fish species to begin the reproductive cycle, what is needed? High water temperature is needed. It means only in a high water temperature, those fish species can begin their reproductive cycle. This is the hypothesis the scientists made. Isn't it? So now, which of the following statements, if true, would most strengthen the scientist hypothesis? So whatever is given in scientist hypothesis, same thing we find in which option? So what is there in the hypothesis? That is, only in high water temperature, the native fish species can begin the reproductive cycle. Those fish species can begin the reproductive cycle in high water temperature. तो यही कुरो कुन ऑप्शन में है. Option A, the native fish species were still able to reproduce only in side streams of the river below the dam, where the annual temperature range remains approximately 50 degrees. Side streams माने को away from the dam. Side streams away from the dam. Because below the dam only 6 degrees. Away from the dam 50 degrees. Still 50 degrees. Isn't it? The native fish species were able to reproduce. So this indicates that, this also indicates that only in a high water temperature the fish species can reproduce. Yeah, option A. Like to or you number 3. Number 3 you do. Number 3. But do you have any confusion? A is the right option. A is the right option. What is here? Aphasia. Aphasia means inability to use language. Aphasia means inability to use language. Okay. So aphasia often occurs when a stroke damages the left half of the brain. When somebody has a stroke, then left half of the brain is damaged, and then aphasia occurs. It means that person is unable to use language. Many people with stroke-related aphasia recover at least some capacity to use language within a year. And many people within a year get recovery and they start using language again. Right? So for this one proposed explanation for such recovery, why many people get this kind of recovery, behind this explanation is the right side of the brain, which is not usually the major language center. So what is the major language center? Left side of the brain. Left side of the brain is the major language center. Right side of the brain is not major language center. So when anybody has a stroke, then left half of the brain is damaged. And when the left half of the brain is damaged, then right side becomes active. Right side becomes active, develops its latent language capabilities to compensate for the damage to the left side. So right side becomes active and helps the person to some extent. Isn't it? So that's why many people get immediate recovery. Within a year, they get recovery because the right side of the brain becomes active. And this very side helps the person to use language. Actually, the major language center is left half of the brain. Isn't it? But in some of the people, right side becomes active and they get recovery within a year, they start using language again. So this is the explanation for the recovery. So which of the following options most strongly support the explanation? Which option talks about the same explanation? यही explanation कुनले भन्छन् त? हेर यो A मा, in a study of local brain activity in people performing a language task, people with a stroke related aphasia showed higher activity levels in the right half of the brain. Isn't it? The people who have stroke, so they have higher activity levels in the right half of the brain. Isn't it? Than people who do not have aphasia. So this option also says that they who have a stroke have higher activity level in the right half of the brain. And same thing given here also in this explanation. Right half of the brain becomes active. Yes, so option A. Yeah. Clear? Thank you. So see you in the next class. This much for today.